Hey people, I'm going to start with some of these Egyptian hieroglyphs and how to transfer these god names to the Hebrew to better understand it. You know, it's no secret that Moses was raised in the Egyptian priestly schools, and this was the language he first learned. And this is called the Ogdod of the four pairs of creation gods. And we can get a little explanation just from the names here. You know, this is the base for all the women in the Bible: Eve and mother of life, and her sister-in-law, Ahud. And this is the base word for your brother, you know, achieve. And I was looking into this because that last movie over here, what it was talking about, you know, all together was evil all of the time. And I told you that that was meant to be read as love, where the freckle they connect from, you know, Hayam, the gods of time. And that's coming from over here. They're giving this the Q, and it's some people pronounce it as a G, and the QRCH. This is the L. When it says thou shalt not, this is the symbol is coming from La. And it means lower, you know, lower your speed. You see the hand down. Somebody's trying to tell you to slow down. You know, they got their palm down and they're pushing down. It means low. And you can see it here followed by the T, you know, and that's all 10 commandments. They all start with the L-A-T, the let. And so this is where that word, you know, the the F-R-C-H-L-A-T, the freckle. And the freckle is altogether evil. It's a spot. You know, the love where the freckle Hayam, you know, and that's what it's talking about. The altogether evil God. And that's why they don't have any information on this one. You see information come up on these, and they don't know what this. They erase that because somebody thought this was the God of evil. Thou shalt not. And so this is, you know, the 8 creation gods and thought, you know, the creation in thought. And so this is the easiest ones up at the top, you know, the feather is the AI and MN, and you can see it's a board game, you know, and it means many, how many. This is the MN, and then this is the N. So the double N reads as I. So you're reading this, you know, AMNY. And it means a many. And his wife is Anit, Annette. And then the little egg here is a OV. It's a ova, TOVO. And you see this in Japan and in Hebrew, Tova. This it needs to come out of, or 10. And so this is a many on it of, a many on it of. And so I imagine he had a bunch of children. So when you read in the Bible and it says, and again the two of the man and the woman, and it would read who would, you know, ood, and again, and then the two of them is sin. And you would write that like this, you know, in Hebrew it's the SNI, and it's duality, and it means sin, synchronize. You know, they're together in the same direction. They're sin. And so it would read, you know, and again the two of them, and it would read who'd sin a many on it of. Who'd sin a many on it of, and many children. And so this is the science of numbers, you know, and this is a many, you know, meaning how much, a many. And this is the denominator, you know, on it of, and how many on it of. The numerator, the denominator, you know, how many and on it of. You know, so this would be the gods of division when they're together. And then over here at the brother and sister-in-law, this is the chet, the H, and it means twisted. And so two of them is the CHE, you know, it's the chi. And the chi is the life power. And so this is, you know, the HIV, CHIV, CHIU. And This is enter, N-T-R, N-D-R. The T and the D are the same letter. You see it in this letter T that looks like our letter D on the side. And it's hard to tell here, but, that's what you have is a D. And the T and the D, they get mixed up. And so this sometime, the Latin word, the base word for the men, Andre, A-N-D-R, N-D-R, N-T-R, either way. And you see it in this Greek word for the man, the enter, the anther, the male part of the flower, and the anthropon, adondi, wear or put on, the curioso, the curiosity of the theosity of the greatness, and the pletion this on, the Ea, the God of life creation, a cocketon, anther, on, thereupon. And so they'll say this is anthropod, but that's coming from pavus, and that means not foot, but the foot of the pyramid, the poor, the poverty. And so this word will change all up with the last couple letters here. But here it just means on, thereupon, epithages, a perfect example. And so Wikipedia say anthropod means human-like, but they don't know why. They don't have a page on it. But the computer game creators, they see them as a race of alien creatures. But most of the time, they'll try to steer you to a misspelling of arthropod. And I remember reading somewhere, it's where the word Alexander comes from, and it's said to mean the protector of men. And coming from Greece, I would bet that just means it was a brand of condom, just like Trojan, on, thereupon, protector of men. And this is what was sitting opposite of the freckle upon, the evils, the greatness, theosity of the pletion this on, a cock ya it on. You got a dick on you. This is the male part here, not the anther. It's a cockya on, thereupon. Epithages, the perfect example of past is. So in these Ogdoads, the names will change up all the time. And several of them are similar, but some of them just totally change. And this is where your word God comes from. Of the God of as. Of the God of as, so it's talking about to pick the one knowledge out of it. But if you look closer, at the markings, and knowing, these Greek, the D is most likely the T, and the T is most likely the D, and it reads backwards, sa, and that means the star, and the sa at, not ad, but at, and the star at Gog. Gog is to lead, Gog and Magog, to lead and from lead, and so star at lead to as. It just means astrology. And so nothing about this word means 8. It just means that there was the eightfold knowledge of astrology. Anybody that sought, S-A-O-T, sought Gog, sought leading to as. It looks like the beginning of the church, the synagogue, the sought Gog to as. And so they changed up in different temples. But you see, the God of the life, got the life symbol. Balancing the two story poles to balance the two times of life. And so you can see between, the Hebrew story and the Greek story, they changed gods to the keys, K-I-S-N. The keys in up top, patop, P-T-P. Keys in up top was, the knowledge of the heavens. And in the Hebrew, and your brother was the CH. All the men coming from the chach, achieve, all come from there. And then the woman, she was named Chu, and she was the mother of all life. He called the name of his wife H-U-E because she was the mother of all H-I, all high, the mother of all chi. and the brother of Cain, achieve. The CH, the second one becomes an I and a V or a U, W. And so this enter, it's enter and it's under. It's also under. You see that here, it's the NTR, NDR. And so it's, where our word center comes from and vendor. Enter, under. And so, your brother, he's the chi vendor. It's the CHIVNDR. The chi vendor, selling life, the life vendor. He's the high vendor. He's the drug dealer. And she's high what of, WTOV, and high what of. And so they wrote all this, it's just the same as the Greek and the Hebrew. These names had a lot more meanings, and the stories were a lot more scientific, but they couldn't be translated away from their original English language, or it's not understood. On it of, a many on it of, tov, to come out of, and 6 to come out of 12. And it's just got, many deeper meanings before, the politically correct. A man was many, and his wife denominated him. She divided that time up on how many chores you got to do. He thought he was 3, but she had 5 jobs for him. You're a denominator. And, when he was talking about the chi unter, the high, the life to enter, the mark of the entrance. That would be the enter, the birth date, the life enter upon. And the field what hath given God is the sexit to set, enter, come the night. And when 9 comes, occurs, when 9's dressed to the T. These are all from funeral writings, Everybody's dressed up for your funeral. When 9 comes. And so this is the same word, at NTR, NDR, and when it's on the end, it's the ender. And just like the Hebrew and the Greek, it all has to do with the letters surrounding it, and when the set, enter, that's the sender, the ender, the set ender, and then Act 3. And as I read down this, everything confirms what I'm reading. On thereupon epithages, and past is dia, through, and the know it, and AJ, is what you pick up during life, edge, the baggage, everything that you acquired from here, and through knowage, and through what you already knowed, you had considered in the thicker through, the cardia, the thicker through, and odd of the familiars. You ought to get familiar with the heart, in the core through, in the center through, the heart odd of the familiar as the fit upon her, a possessed as come the rays, come the sun, or to shame, to name the days, and weave too much thought, whose greatness. And this is a N, but when it comes before an E, it becomes a V, and it's where your word Eve comes from, and to have and weave, W-E apostrophe E, weave, and weave too much, T-H-O-T-H, thought, the God of thought, and weave too much thought, and God ponders, and so it's not God ponders, it's we thinking about God, we too much thought, the osity, the greatness, the God the great, the for which is it on, the creator, the for which is it on thereupon epithages, the perfect example, to the day knoweth. So I'm going to cut this off here. I lost my train of thought when this unmarked government crew come out here digging graves in the front yard. So I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.